So, let's talk quickly about energy. This is the simplest thing to talk about in terms of, you know, deck building. Or it's not actually that simple to talk about in terms of deck building because how much energy you use is very variable, just depending on the deck and what you're running and everything like that. But energy in general, you have, like I said in the other video, darkness, fighting, grass, lightning, metal, psychic, fire, water. Those are the basic energies. Very, very important distinction between basic energy and special energy. So, basic energy, you're allowed to have as many of them in your deck as you like. If you really wanted to, you could run a deck with 59 basic energies and one basic Pokemon. And it would technically be legal, although you would be the dumbest person alive for doing that, probably. Or maybe it would be genius, like who knows, honestly. In terms of deck building, special energy is similar to every other card, which I actually didn't even mention this. Up to 4 of any card is allowed to be in your deck at, you know, while you're building your deck. I really should have mentioned that when I was talking about all the other stuff, or even at the, basic rules section. I'll probably add in a comment about that because it's important. But yeah, special energy follows that rule where it's up to 4 of them in your deck for any given special energy. Special energies obviously there's like a ton of these. I don't know if I want to go over each and every one of them, but the most common ones, I'll go into some of them anyways. I don't think I've ever seen some of these, so I'll go over the ones that I've at least seen / used. Double turbo energy you'll see the most. It is 2 colorless energy, but it has a drawback where it reduces the damage of the attacks from the attached Pokemon by 20 before weakness and resistance. So a lot of the time, in this deck you're actually not seeing it, but a lot of the time you'll run double turbo so that you can gear up a Greninja or another attacker that requires 3 energy, or potentially 2, so that they can snipe the bench or do something like that. Lugia V-Star deck, which is what this is, which is, it's got a lot of special energy, which is why I wanted to talk about it for this video, runs a lot of special energy and no colored energies, actually. It's all just specials. The reason for that is Chinchino, in case you're wondering. Special roll is insane. And the way that you get special roll set up is through Archeops. The way you get Archeops onto your bench, because it's a stage 1, or stage 2 actually, is through Lugia V-Star, Summoning Star. It's a whole combo. It's going to be rotating out soon. Very interesting though, and very, very difficult to play, I would say. But basically, this deck runs a lot of different special energies because for each special energy attached to Chinchino, it does 70 more damage, and it's a single prize card, so it's, it's a whole combination. It works very well when you get it to work, and it's very difficult to deal with as well. Anyways, double turbo is the most common one that you'll see. Legacy energy is actually an ace spec, and this is important because not all ace specs are trainers, although the majority of them are. There is a couple like legacy and enriching. What the heck? Enriching energy, which are ace specs. Therefore, it's not like you can use a trainer and also an energy. It's one or the other. If you have one of these, you can't use another ace spec. Legacy is definitely the one that I've seen more often. I don't actually even know what enriching does, but this one, I think I even mentioned it during the other video. It provides one of every type of energy, but only one at a time. So it can be used for any number of attacks. In addition to that, if the Pokemon that it's attached to gets knocked out by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, they take 1 fewer prize card. That distinction's important. Instead of just saying like, they take none, or they take 1, or they take 0, or whatever. It's just 1 less because there's like so many different things. I'm going to point to Iron Hands specifically here because Iron Hands allows you to take 1 more prize card for a KO if you attack them with Amp You Very Much and actually get the effect off. Or actually get the KO rather, and then get the effect off. So theoretically, Iron Hands attacking into a EX Pokemon and getting the KO with Ampy very much would take 3 prize cards. Otherwise, attacking into a regular Pokemon non-EX like Chinchino, you would take 2 prize cards, which is still a very, very strong effect. So Legacy Energy could allow you to only take 1 if they amp you very much on your basic, and otherwise if you were to attach it to a V, then they would only take 1 as well. There's a lot of situations where Legacy Energy can be very nice and very strong. V-Guard Energy is obviously going to be rotating out with the V Pokemon. It provides colorless energy. The Pokemon that this card is attached to takes 30 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon V. I don't think there's an equivalent effect for EX, as far as I'm aware. But maybe I just don't have it. I don't know. Anyways, Jet Energy is very popular as well. When you attach it to one of your bench Pokemon, you jet it up, or you put it up into the active spot, swap it out with your currently active Pokemon. Very strong as a potential, switch option in the case that you need to, if you don't want to run a bunch of switches, which this deck isn't, you can instead run Jet Energies, and they provide the ability to switch without having to actually waste an item slot potentially for it. Gift Energy is not very common. It's mostly run in this deck, I think. If the Pokemon that it's attached to is knocked out by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you draw until you have 7 cards in hand. Very nice, strong effect when you actually get it to trigger and you have like nothing in your hand or whatever. You can draw right back up. Mist Energy. This one is used a lot more. It's colorless and prevents all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to the card that this is attached to. You can see damage is not an effect. That's, obvious, but it obviously is, mentioned because a lot of people would probably think like, oh, well, Cruel Arrow does 100 damage to one of my Pokemon, but that's the effect, so it doesn't do it. Damage is not an effect. Or damage, whatever, is different, right? Whereas Mist Energy would also prevent the extra prize from being taken, I believe. Because that is an effect. It's not damage. The damage is separate. And Blood Moon would not be affected by this. I just want to double check because I believe... No, so this one also wouldn't be affected by it. I'm trying to find anything else where... Oh, is it this? Yes. Burning Darkness would also... No, it wouldn't. Because damage is not an effect. So even, that'll screw me up sometimes. Yeah, very, very interesting. So that's a lot of the special energy. And then in terms of, basic energy, in terms of deck building... 90% of the time you're going to see one type of energy and sometimes some special stuff thrown in there as well. Most of the time people are not running dual energies. I'm going to say that and then I'm immediately going to point to a couple of outliers to that. Let's find... Where the heck is it? Regidrago V-Star. This is the best deck in the game right now. Pretty objectively, I would say. It runs 8... Well, it doesn't necessarily always run these numbers, but mine is running 8 grass and 2 fire. That's because Regidrago V-Star is a mixed energy attacker. It requires 2 grass and 1 fire to attack. And you're also running these ogre pawns that, require grass energy, but also their effect is to attach grass energy for free. I should also mention that, I guess, actually. This is really important. During your turn, you are allowed to attach 1 energy to one of your Pokemon. That's the only energy attached that you are allowed to do unless otherwise mentioned by a card or, like a trainer or a Pokemon's effect or ability or whatever, right? So Teal Mask Ogerpon is like a nice exception where you're allowed to do your attach to it, but it doesn't count as your standard attach for the turn, or whatever, your basic attach, whatever you want to call it. And it allows you to draw a card for that as well. Extremely, extremely strong card. If you look at the rest of this deck, none of this stuff makes any sense until you read Apex Dragon, and then it makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to get into that. We can talk about deck archetypes at some point maybe as well, if anyone's interested in that. But I'm also going to quickly look at... where the heck is it? Raging Bolt. This one also runs 3 different types of energy. Similarly, it's running grass because of Ogre Pawns, but Raging Bolt is a mixed type attacker and it actually doesn't need grass. So you might wonder, well, why include the grass? It's because Raging Bolt's effect does 70 damage for each energy discarded from any of your Pokemon. So there's once again like a whole combination where you're trying to attach a bunch of energy to your Ogre Pawns and then get energy onto your Raging Bolt, and then attack in while discarding just a bunch of energy to do any amount of damage that you need to basically on a turn. This is a very strong deck, very fun to play. Yeah, I think that's about all I can talk about in terms of energy. Honestly, I didn't think that this video would even go on that long, but it's already over 10 minutes, so yeah, if there's anything else that I didn't mention that you think is worth mentioning, let me know, and I'll probably do like a demonstration of a game for the next video just to kind of, you know, give an idea of how all of this stuff comes together into one more concise game and how it plays and all that kind of stuff, right? So look forward to that. Like if you liked it, and leave a comment if there was anything else, and thanks for watching.